Hello everybody, good morning. In today's session, I'll be explaining about how to deploy a C# Web API custom connectors from Visual Studio itself. So if you are a C# developer who wants to create custom connectors for Power Platform, which is a cloud service, there is a feature in Visual Studio where you can deploy a Web API project as a custom connector directly from Visual Studio. You don't have to leave your development environment, but instead from Visual Studio itself, you can create a custom connector. So to connect a local host to cloud service, we use something called as DevTunnels. So DevTunnel is used to create a connection between Azure tenant, which is your organization tenant, and the local host or the local machine. So I'll give you a small demo on how it works. First, we go to Visual Studio, create a new project, select a template that says ASP.NET Core Web API. So that is where you can be able to create .NET based frameworks over here, and give the project name as some weather forecast or something, because it will be a small default template. Click on next and just set the framework .NET 6.0 itself and click on create. Yeah, now it has been created, the project. Now we'll go to the C# coding and check what has happened. So this is a sample or default template or a code where you can say, with the help of ASP.NET Core Web API, a code has been created. This will be a default template. If you want, you can change, or you can make use of the same services if you want to deploy and test it in your Power Apps cloud environment. So I'll just show you. We can, since it's a locally hosted thing. This app.mapget or weather forecast. This is all just random set of temperatures which have been generated. So I'll just set a breakpoint here, and I'll let you know what happens when I click on debugging this. Yeah, now debugging has been started. Now we'll click on continue to look at what happens in the front end. Yeah, this is one Swagger editor where weather forecast has been opened. This is the name of the project which I have given, and this is a local hosted thing. You can go and try it out. Since I've added a breakpoint there and click on execute, you can see the request URL has been generated here. It will create a local host version of the web API. This is a local host currently. Okay, there'll be some response body with some response headers, right? So this is a local host currently. So you need to connect this local host to Power Apps. So for that, we have to go back to Visual Studio. I'll just stop debugging here. Go to connected services, or double click on it, or go to add, or just double click on it. Go to connected services. Then there's something called as service dependencies. You will have to go to click that add button and search for Microsoft Power Platform here. So it says build application or workflow automations with Microsoft Power Platform connected to your web API. So our web API will be the weather part, right? Now, since I've logged into my tenant, which is admin at Santa Cloud, which is sitting in our organization's tenant, it will start pulling out the environments, the tenant ID, the solutions available inside this Visual Studio. So this is one developer environment which I have, POC ENB, which is available in admin at Santa Cloud. If you see here, so POC environment is a developer environment type. Currently, we don't have any custom connectors here. So for to create a custom connector, we'll go to Visual Studio and deploy the services there. This you can just leave it Power Platform, anything as you wish, or you can create a new solution or whatever. Just give it this. Uh, so we'll create a click on plus button. Um, just just give it weather forecast as my connector name without any capitals or spaces. I click on create. Then we have to select a public dev tunnel. So as I said earlier, dev tunnel is nothing but to create a connection between your Azure tenant to connect your admin and Sana Cloud to the local host, the web API. Right. So for that we use a web public dev tunnel. To create a new dev tunnel, you have to click on the plus button, give it some name, leave all the options as it is, and click on OK. Currently, I've already created a dev tunnel, so I'm using the same dev tunnel as well. Then I click on next, click on finish. So what happens is it will create a custom connector automatically with the help of Visual Studio. You don't have to go to Power Apps and create a custom connector. This will be doing it for us. So that's called dependency. So it's just taking 1 or 2 minutes to create a custom connector. Yeah, it says complete Microsoft Power Platform custom connectors configured. We hit on close. Now we'll go to the environment and just refresh here. Yes, it has been created, weather forecast. So if you try opening this and check the URL which has been created, you see this? There is a host created. Its own URL, which is inside the Azure hosting. It's a public URL right now. Okay, so you don't have to give any security or definition. Also, it will be added on its own with its own operation ID, with the response saying 200 as code, which is success code. So we'll go and test it. Before giving a test, we'll give a connection. Connection has been added. Now we go back to our custom connector. Before testing it, we'll just keep our web service web API running in the background. So you click on this, click on continue. So here it says you're about to connect to a developer tunnel, which is a dev tunnel. So once you click on continue, you'll be getting a public URL here, which is this one. This is a public URL right now, which is already inside the Azure hosting. Okay, we can similarly try it out. You'll be getting the same response body with 200 code. So this is a local host right now. The same thing will be accessed in cloud services right currently. So to access cloud services, we have connected a custom connector already. So we'll head to the custom connector and check it now. Since I clicked continue there, it is enabled me to allow access my local host into the machine, right? So we'll test this connector. Go to test. Connection has already been created. Just click on test operation. Yeah, it has given me some random temperatures here, just as what you see in this temperature of 93, 33, 94, 114. The same thing has been given here in random fashion. So this is how you connect a local host to a cloud service environment and deploy a custom connector from within the Visual Studio.